Okay, oh, let's see. Try this again with the slides here. You guys let me know when you can see them.
I see them now.
Excellent. All right, Denise, you've got the record all rocking and rolling?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay, well, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Super excited to have you here on our Meetup informational session. There is a QR code for those of you that like to use QR codes instead of typing URLs, but I'm guessing Denise is probably putting the dynamicsusergroup.com URL right in the chat for us. Of course, please join our user group. It's free, low risk for you. So free is always the right price tag. And again, QR code on the screen if you prefer to use that if you're busy and you just want to grab it on your cell phone quick. So before we dive into meetups today, let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about DUG. But before we get too far down the line, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves here quick. Denise, would you like to go first?
Oh, sure. Hello, my name is Denise Johnson. I'm the program and events manager here at DUG. Still consider myself new to the community, been around for about 10, 11 months, but I'm learning the ropes. I look forward to working with each of you.
Excellent, excellent. And for those of you that I have not had the opportunity to meet on this call, my name is Molly Puschel. I'm the president here at Dynamics User Group and really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to learn about meetups with Denise and I. So great to have you. All right, just a little bit of history about Dynamics User Group. We call ourselves DUG. There's a lot of confusion thanks to the Meetup email, but a good confusion which came out of that, and that sparked a lot of questions and conversations around communities. So Dynamics User Group has actually been around since 1995 just as a discussion forum, which was started by a Microsoft MVP who was really struggling with the Navision product at the time and really had nowhere to turn for any help. And so he created his own forum, which of course was free, to connect with other users around the world. And that started again way back in the 90s in Denmark and is still our discussion forum platform today. We've now since expanded that across all the 5 products that we serve, which are Dynamics 365 Business Central, Customer Engagement, Finance and Operations, Power Platform, of course, all the Power Apps, and of course, our Dynamics GP users. So we really came into this space, of course, first as the discussion forum element of DUG, but then we really launched as a virtual event called DynamicsCon. So if for those of you who maybe have heard that name before, our first DynamicsCon virtual event was in September of 2020. We are now looking forward to our 5th DynamicsCon virtual event, which will be happening in March. And we've expanded DUG well beyond the discussion forums and that virtual event to now an in-person event called DynamicsCon Live, which for those of you who are interested in hearing more about those events and these programs, we'll be talking about that at the end of this call if you'd like to stick around. And we do have a $75 off coupon code just for coming and learning about meetups today if you'd like that for the DynamicsCon Live event. So that's a little bit about us. Of course, again, though, one of our big programs that is really taking off this year is our local user groups, which are called Meetups. And I think we're getting a little background noise, so if you guys don't mind putting yourselves on mute, that would be fabulous, just so we can make sure everybody can hear us. A big important part about DUG before we move on to meetups in particular is, again, it is a free user group. It started that way back in 1995 and it's very important and it's part of our mission to keep content easily accessible and free to all of you and all of our greater community members. So really excited just to keep moving forward with that notion of a no membership fee type of platform and making sure that you are able to access content in a variety of different ways. Just a little bit about our reach. Again, you saw we have 37,000 members and growing out of our 2 years. Very excited about that. We definitely position ourselves as a global organization. It's really important that we continue to bring our global audience together in the different discussion forums, virtual events, virtual meetups, so on and so forth. So excited to connect with people around the globe and learn from each other that way. Oh, and we're pretty big on social too. If you haven't seen it, we encourage you to join our social channels. We're on all of the major platforms if you're into that. If not, no problem. Okay, so let's talk about meetups. So our meetups, again, we actually have had meetups started by one of our owners using the actual meetup.com platform way back since 2016. And he really put this out there for people to have a way to connect and meet in different parts of the world. We're excited to say that this year we were able to add Denise to our team and have a dedicated resource to helping this program really take shape and just build some more information and structure around what this looks like, but really important, most importantly, supporting the attendees of these localized user groups and the leaders that volunteer to lead them. So the first thing is you can see we've got them all over the globe, which is really exciting. Some of our meetups meet virtually, some of our meetups meet in person, some do a hybrid, some go every other, it just depends. You'll notice that we don't have a strict cadence on our meetup. We don't think that that's very fair to our local user groups. It's really what works for the leader who's volunteering to facilitate that group. So some of our groups meet once a month, some of our groups meet twice a year. It just depends on what that group really needs, and we allow that leader to assess and evaluate what their local members would like to do. So we really put that and give that autonomy to that leader and to best know their local group. Really the purpose of these is to bring people together for two things, if not more, but education and learning from each other and networking. So we've all been pretty kept up over the last couple of years, of course, and some of our meetups will, I think, always stay virtual because that's what works well for their group. But a lot of our groups are really starting to explore the option of in-person. And there is something to be said that's pretty special about having that time together face-to-face where you can pull up a problem on the screen, you can evaluate it together, you can share input, you can share experiences. From my experience of attending local user groups, it's fascinating how a lot of people approach the same ERP product issue, but in very different ways or come with very different solutions. So the biggest value that you can really take away is this is a free opportunity to meet fellow users who are using the same product, but in a different industry, in a different job role, and really maybe learning, the goal would be to learn those efficiencies from one another. And then networking, right? There is something so special about being able to network, and we certainly encourage networking in our virtual meetups as well. But if you are interested in, and we'll talk more about what this looks like for getting a meetup started in your area, the networking that can happen and just feeling like you have that commonality of the product that brought you together, but in the end, you kind of make a friend out of it. It's a win-win. So you can see we've got some stats there. We have 27 groups. We have over 5,000 meetup members out of our 36,000 community members at DUG, and excited to see this grow. So I think before we jump into this slide, we talked about the leaders. These are led by wonderful community volunteer leaders. And I think we have a couple on the call with us today. And I thought it would just be nice to maybe get some input and some feedback on their experience with their local user group, and maybe just share with all of you on this call how they find value in the DUG meetup. So if we have any of those leaders on the call, I'd love for you to just chime in a little bit and share from your experience.
I can share. Hi, this is Cecile. I am so excited to invite you to our DUG meetup in Arizona. And we started our first virtual meetup last week because we wanted to prepare for our in-person meetup. So it was very interactive, very engaging meeting last week. Thanks to Molly for joining. And we heard a lot of, challenges and issues that they're facing with their D365 implementation. So, of course, we are there, listening to their problems, but it's not going to stop there. Of course, I am going to look for good resources or speakers that implemented D365 Business Central successfully and hear from them what made it successful. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Cecile. And congrats on getting your Arizona meetup off the ground. Anyone else on the call that would just like to share a little bit of the value that they're seeing from their meetup, whether you are a leader with us or you've recently attended a DUG meetup?
I'll speak.
Hi.
It's Tanya. Oh,
Tanya?
hello.
Hi, Tanya.
Hello. And I have Eric on the call too. I'm so excited he joined because we have had, I think, two meetups, and we're in the Salt Lake area. And so Eric reached out to me. He was an old, or he's a previous CE kind of a meetup group as well. And so we've kind of joined teams, and we are trying to do them once a month. We missed November because we were both super busy, but what we're doing is once a month, and we are just trying to come up with topics and, just kind of getting speakers together. We've done, we built a power app, I think last time, went through that, and it's been awesome. So, and I'm so happy to have him joining our group. Eric, are you awake? I know he's on here.
I am, yes. Thank
Yeah.
you, Tanya. And it has
Yep.
been fun. Yeah, I came from the other user group. So I was excited to see that DUG was still going strong after COVID. So thankful for Tanya and Denise and the rest of the team. So we're excited about continuing to provide content to the folks in Salt Lake City and the surrounding area.
Yeah, and we're just trying to get more people to show up is what we got to do. Yeah.
Yes.
That is always the challenge.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone else like to just share a little bit about their group or value they found for their meetup members?
Steve Chinsky, I believe, has something to say. He was very kind and used his raise hand feature. So, Steve, the floor is yours, sir.
It's rare when I raise my hand. I'm only kidding. So, but
I thought it might have been a mistake.
it was. I think Denise, you're playing with my my mouse here, so I know what you're doing. No, but
You're
seriously,
camera
folks,
shy, Steve. I've never known you to be camera shy.
Oh, you don't want to see me today. It's Friday.
Okay.
He didn't shave because I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't shave, and I'm getting ready for EMEA, so I'm really looking sloppy today. So, no, but seriously, folks, I mean, the DUG meetups are truly a way for all of us to reach out to whatever community you can join, whether it be remote or in person. I mean, I know it's tough sometimes with in person, but I join them. I try to join almost anyone that has a connection. I'm trying to join with a connection, and basically so that I can either be part of those communities and meetups, and also sometimes I'm asked by one of the leaders to speak on a certain subject matter in Business Central. I mean, I'm from the Business Central side, so that's important to note that there's so many people joining the calls. We got one in Winston-Salem coming up, I think, very shortly, and they're doing another one. I think it's going to be in one of the not a leader, but I guess one of the customers who uses a piece of software is letting them use their conference room. And I love that fact. I wish I can get down to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I probably have more fun going into their factory, drinking hot sauce, because I know that that's what they make. So, hint, hint. But seriously, I think if we can make a lot of them, if people can join and be a leader and try to build one up and build a meetup, you'll find many people will just trickle in, and you'll find many people join up, and then you could pretty much start virtually and then grow to being in person and go from there. But it's really important that I think we do this, both nationally and internationally. And trust me, you can reach out to Denise, reach out to Molly if you want. If you need a speaker, trust me, we will find you a speaker. It is not a problem for us to find you a speaker on a certain subject matter. If you want Power BI, if you want Power Automate, if you want BC, if you want GP, there's plenty of people we can all reach out to find you a speaker on a certain subject matter. So don't hesitate to reach out to Denise or Molly or anybody, and reach out to me if you want. We'll help you find a speaker.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else?
I can go. It's Andrea.
Hey, Andrea. Hey.
Hi. So I'm Andrea Vieta. I run the Denver chapter. I've run the chapter since like 2016. We used to do it quarterly. Now we're annual to biannual, which might
Yeah.
be due to snow or just scheduling. But I'll even say, just like Steve is absolutely right, just on the note of the speakers and all the support of the Doug and everything like that. But I would say even on just like a personal and your career wise, getting involved in the user groups can help you succeed. And I mean, for me, it even changed my career path. I was a CPA as a controller, and now I install BC all day long, and I love it, right? Big jump there. Not really using the CPA as much, but it's a great product. And then the user groups, I think, can really just kind of launch you into success as a person, even if you're not trying to change careers. And there's awards you can win too, which is fun, for being active in the community. So I don't know, you're gonna be like a little superstar somewhat. So if you're into that type of thing, there it is.
I love it. Thanks, Andrea. It's a great plug. That it's one thing that we don't talk about a lot, but Andrea highlighted something that I have heard for years in our community space with local user groups, which is it really exposes you just again to different people who are using the product, to different opportunity. It's a great place if you are somebody that has always been extremely fearful of speaking in front of an audience. It's a great audience that really supports you, that you know, that would love to give you that opportunity to talk more on the product, or even something that's maybe less related to the product and more relatable to your group, or something that's happening locally. So it's just a great way to exercise and learn some personal skills along the way. And the bonds that come out of local user groups, I think Andrea is a great example. I think she still has some best friends that she made years ago from her Denver local user group, if I'm not mistaken, Andrea.
Yep, but just from the community in general, like Steve Chinsky.
Yes, absolutely.
Good friends.
Absolutely. Anybody else on the call? Thank you, Andrea.
I guess I'll jump in as well. This is Merlin.
Hi, Merlin.
I'm representing the Twin Cities chapter. So sort of like Eric mentioned in the Salt Lake area, I'm presently trying to leverage the DUG meetups to reinvigorate what was, I think at one point, the largest user group from the other organization in the US.
Sure.
We used to get like 50 to 70 people at meetings, and now I'm trying to turn that back on post-pandemic. We got maybe 15 people at the first in-person one that I did last quarter, and have another one coming up in a couple of weeks. Which incidentally, if anybody wants to talk about sales forecasting in CE in my meeting in 2 weeks, feel free to let me know.
Thanks, Merlin. Yeah, you definitely have a thriving group in Minneapolis. I give you a little applause because that's the closest one to me. I'm in Fargo, North Dakota, where we also should start a meetup. But yeah, it's a great group, and I'm so glad that you're getting them back together. And Merlin has an interesting case in his local area where the Microsoft Office, for example, so we talk about, so one of the guidelines that Denise would talk about in your orientation training is if you want to meet in person, what that looks like and what the guidelines are around that. And in Minneapolis and in some other areas within the US, and I believe outside of the US, you have a very supportive Microsoft Office, especially now where they're able to let non-Microsoft employee groups meet in their offices. It's a really nice space. It does allow you to potentially have leaders, or excuse me, speakers from Microsoft as well come in once in a while. So if you're in the Minneapolis area, I think Merlin, you are meeting again at the at the Microsoft office.
Sure am. Yep.
Yeah, great. So it's a nice benefit as well, just to be a little closer to the product in that way.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Merlin. Thanks for chiming in. So you've probably had a little bit of time to read this slide, just to give you a little overview for leaders. So again, it's a volunteer leadership position. So what would happen is if you were interested in coming on as a leader, which we'd love to have you lead a local group, and just because you don't see it on the map, the whole intention and goal of this call is to get to get your local user group started or to get it rejuvenated if it's been one that's fallen to an inactive state. So what we do is if you're interested, we bring you on board with an orientation call. This is actually where Denise comes in and does a wonderful job of orientating you, showing you around the platform, making sure you know where things are located, showing you how to use the admin features and functionalities, how you can communicate with the members through the email of the tool, and then better understanding how we as Dynamics user group can support you. And then right along that, in that same call, we have meetup guidelines. So of course, things like spending limits and things like that, as we're a new organization, so we have to spread the funding love around. But we're always looking for meetup sponsors. If we do have some of our partners on this call that would be interested in sponsoring, just shoot us a note in the chat. We'd love to tell you where we could use some sponsorship support. And sponsorship in particular, I'll just touch on this. We do not force sponsorship into the meetings. We want our meetings and our users to feel like this is their meeting and they know their group best and they know what their members want and need to hear meeting over meeting. So we kind of act as that middle person for those sponsorship opportunities. If you want to sponsor, that does help fund fun networking activities. If you want to do something extra after your meeting, if you want to do a lunch that's beyond our budget, and then we just kind of go through what that looks like for the sponsor and what that exchange looks like and how they can participate in your meeting. Okay, I think next we're just going to show you the Meetup tool really quick. I'm going to pass it over to Denise and she's just going to show you all a little bit about the tool. I think she's put the link in the chat a couple of times. It's on the screen here. I'll also put it in the chat again if it's not. And Denise, if you want, we'll go ahead and have you drive through the tool quickly.
You bet. All right. Well, are you able to see the screen? You able
Yes,
to see
ma'am.
the Meetup platform? Excellent.
Yes.
So the link that I've provided for everyone here takes you into our map, and our map shows you the general pins of where all of our meetups are currently happening. These are the ones that are active underneath the DUG profile. The Meetup platform is actually very intuitive to use, and it's a little bit scary because it's kind of like that Big Brother is listening, and as you build your profile, it looks at your location, what you're interested in. So then if you happen to be somewhere else, it will say, oh, here's a Power Platform meetup that's happening in not Portland, but I know we're talking with someone about a Portland one that's going to come up. You're visiting there, but you're actually from the Atlanta area. So it's intuitive and helps direct information or drive information to you based on how you're building out your profile. Within this homepage of here, you have a little bit of information about DUG, what our mission is, what our drive is as far as the local meetups are concerned. Also, it will give you a list of the upcoming events for all of the DUG meetup groups. Everything that falls under our platform, they are going to come in here and you're going to be able to see that information. We've had some new groups join us very recently, so I personally am excited to connect with folks from around the globe and get these built out. We do have some pretty active groups that meet. We'll click into the DUG for Gov group. They meet on an annual or a monthly basis, the fourth Tuesday of every month. So they meet as a virtual event. It's a 60-minute webinar, and we've had really great success with them. We see their attendance increasing every time. One of the biggest draws with them, as far as their content is concerned, is that they do peer presentations. Almost everything that they do is a peer presentation where it was action focused. Here's what I learned. Here's what I liked. Here's what Power Pages could do better, just lots of information that's given out from that end user perspective. So you go in and all of the information is here. You can see who's attending it. You can see how it's going to be delivered for you. Also within the groups themselves, when you go to the group's main page, again, you are able to see what's going on, what this group is all about, any events that are coming up, any past events that you might have missed, and maybe you want to reach out and see if there's a recording of, or if there's some information that can be shared along with you. This is a little bit of a social tool, so you have the opportunity to have photos posted of events, of gatherings. A screenshot from a Teams meeting works. We have some of the gifts of COVID is we've learned how to connect in so many different ways. Then we can showcase all the ways throughout this platform. Also, Meetup has a discussion thread. So you are able to post a discussion thread throughout all of the members. It doesn't just have to be internally event focused. If there's something that you're wanting to ask the group about, like Steve was mentioning, is there a customer site that someone would be willing to offer up? How does that look? So there's ways to be social and also have your member engagement inside of there. That is an overview, just a quick little nutshell of the Meetup platform. Any questions?
Questions on the tool itself, either from an admin side or an attendee side? Oh, I see we've got a
Darren
hand
has a
up.
question. Yes.
Yeah, I'm new to this, so this is awesome. We've just released an ISV into Microsoft, so very much learning the landscape here. I see that group that you mentioned, Doug for Gov, is located in Austin. My question, because I've got to drop in 1 minute, is there an opportunity to open up other working groups that will focus like BC or FinOps in the same city?
So this group is actually a nationwide
Right.
group. We have to have a pin somewhere for this
Right.
one specifically. But because they choose to stay virtual so that they can bring in a international audience to
Okay.
all of the meetings that they have. At this point in time, typically what we do is new groups come in being product agnostic. So we build the group around Microsoft Dynamics 365, Dynamics GP Power Platform. And then within that group, each one of the individual meetings can be focused on something very specific. It can be Merlin's meeting that's coming up here in just a few weeks is focused on CE, CRM. He has focused dedicated content. So at this time, that's how we're using the platform to build in to really gain the membership numbers and to also bring the most amount of folks in.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you for answering that.
Welcome.
Thank you. Eric, I think you're next.
Yeah, I have not used Meetup a lot, so this might be a noob question, but is there a polling feature?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Don't believe so. But you could certainly there's quite a few free polling features that you could just create a link to a poll and put it in the discussion section within your group.
Okay. Or
Good
we
question.
could be really good as Microsoft users and use like customer polls.
That too.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Bob, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering if the local groups are encouraged or able to share out virtually so that we can join of interest across time zones and country lines, etc.
Oh, yeah, yes, actually, we do, and we definitely encourage that. So many of our meetups they are choosing to stay virtual or have a virtual component where folks can call in and watch what's going on inside of the sessions themselves. They are also many of our groups choose to record their sessions so that they can be posted a little bit later on. And Doug has also created a Meetup YouTube channel. So anyone that has recorded their meetings or their webinars, we are able to take that recording and post it out on the Doug YouTube Meetup channel. So lots of ways to get the education out there, to provide value for folks, not only in your local region, but the connections that you've made across the globe.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions about Meetup, the platform, or we can even dive right on into just general questions about DUG Meetups and the program itself. Yeah, the Meetup recordings in our YouTube channel, Steve, is very nice. We're excited about that. Cecile was just talking about her first Arizona meeting from last week, so that'll be on our channel as well soon enough, so you guys can just kind of see how those go. Other questions? Feel free to just come off mute and ask if you have any.
Can you give us the YouTube channel link? I'm in YouTube right now and I typed in DUG and it didn't show up.
Yeah, let me find it. I was actually doing that myself too. I can certainly find that. You bet.
I've got it right here, Molly.
Oh, thanks.
You bet. I'll send that in.
So as Denise was saying, we just started that a couple days ago, maybe on Friday, and we're going to just encourage all of our leaders to give us the recordings and put those recordings right in that channel. And then what we encourage our leaders to do as well is take that YouTube channel link and put it in the discussion section of their Meetup group on meetup.com. Other questions? I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen here in a moment. Certainly anyone that has some other Meetup questions, please go ahead and ask away. Denise and I, you can certainly reach out to us. We'll send out a meeting recap as well with the slides. I'm going to bring the slides back up. And then, yeah, if you think of anything after the call, certainly let us know. But otherwise, for those that want to stay on, we can go ahead and talk a little bit more just about the DUG programs and events that we have coming up for those that are interested in staying to hear that as well. So are we getting some questions in the chat?
Not questions in the chat, lots of sharing of resources and communications and links. So very active group today. Thank you so much.
Excellent. I want to talk about one other thing quick too, that we didn't touch on, and that's something that we're going to be working towards is leadership calls. So Denise and I have hosted a couple of leader-only calls, and these are really helpful for our volunteer leaders who want to connect with each other. We hope to do something at DynamicsCon Live in Scottsdale, Arizona for our Meetup leaders who are able to join us at the event. So we'll do something on site and just make sure that we're giving our volunteer leaders a chance to connect and share ideas with each other. And so we think that that's very valuable too, over my experience with local user groups, being able to hear from another leader on what's worked well, how they got more people to their meeting, what was a good topic, who was a good speaker, what's a fun icebreaker activity, all things like that, that leaders can have an opportunity to come together and share is really valuable as well. So we'll be continuing to put more of those on the calendar as we go into 2023 for our leaders. And again, for those of you that are needing to drop off or are familiar with our programs and want to take the extra time back, I just want to say again, please reach out to Denise or myself if you would like to start a local meetup. We'd be happy to tell you more about it, do a one-on-one call. We talked about the orientation call. Denise would be happy to have those with you. And we hope to see you at a DUG meetup soon. So with that, I'll go ahead and just quickly talk about some of our upcoming events and other programs at DUG. For those that don't know, again, we have our DynamicsCon virtual event, of course, free to attend, right from your couch, right from your desk, right from wherever you want to be. This is a community sourced content event. So anyone on this call is welcome and encouraged to submit a session. And then in January, the community all comes together. That includes all of you and votes for the sessions that they would like to see make up the conference agenda. And once that voting period concludes, we will announce who had the top voted sessions that make up that agenda at the beginning of February. And again, this event takes place March 15th, 2023. It is going to be one full day of all five product channels running across. We're using our same umbrella platform. We're working with our same awesome AV team that you've seen in the past. So we try to make it fun and engaging. And again, for those that aren't able to travel or want a whole day of free content and a way to connect one-on-one with the speakers live, this is a great opportunity to do so. So DynamicsCon.com, encourage you to register today so you're up, you can stay up to date on the upcoming event dates and important dates and timeline items to keep in mind. DynamicsCon Live, we will have our third in-person event next year, May 22nd through the 25th, right in Cecile's backyard-ish in Scottsdale, Arizona. So very excited for Cecile's meetup group to be our host meetup group for this event. This event can be found at live.dynamicscon.com. This is one of two things that we do ask for some dollars from you on. Of course, otherwise everything at DUG is free, but we are offering you a discount code off of the registration ticket. You can see it on the code, or excuse me, you can see it on the screen right there. That discount code is good through the end of the month. We'd love to have you there and joining with us. I think we have over 110 sessions planned for the 3 days, lots of networking opportunity. We'll make sure to feed you well and have a great time connecting with the community. Discussion forums, where DUG all began. I feel like this slide is slightly outdated because I think we have more members than we have listed on the slide. I think we're close to 21,000 members now, which is very exciting. Lots of active discussion topics. We encourage you to check them out. It's right on the DUG Hub. That's the link we've been sharing, dynamicsusergroup.com. If you go to the forums tile on the right side of the top of the screen, we encourage you to check these out. Throw out a question if you're struggling with something. This is the best place to get an answer. With a lot of eyes that can see that same question. So encourage you to use this, again, a free outlet for you to ask and maybe help another community member out with something they're struggling. So you'll see the different discussion forums by product, and we encourage you to look at that. There's even some of the discussion forums by product are then broken out by technical versus functional and different areas like that that are more pertinent to what you do in your role. YouTube channel. We've already gotten to talk about our DUG YouTube channel. This houses almost 500 videos now, I believe. And this is where you're going to find access to a lot of our DynamicsCon virtual sessions. So those were 40-minute sessions with a 10-minute live Q&A. All of that is in these recordings. You can see that it's broken out by event and by product. So we encourage you to look at that and use this as another resource for learning content, easily accessible again. You can see our YouTube channel name at the top of the screen there. So check it out. And then, like we said, we have a new playlist added just for our DUG meetup recordings as well. SkillUp, this is the 2 of 2 things that does have a price tag at DUG, and this is deep dive certification courses. Again, going to dynamicsusergroup.com, or the DUG Hub as we call it, is where you can find access to SkillUp. And this has a variety of classes that seem to be very timeless, because we definitely have seen a nice little uptick in class purchases. So there's definitely some very timeless and good material out there from presenters, or we call them instructors in the SkillUp program, who you will recognize, who are well known and well respected in this space. And so they're the ones who are the instructors. And a lot comes with that price tag. You'll get different modules, testing materials. There's different step-by-step processes that you go through. And again, these instructors are always there to help you. This is technically on demand though, so you can do these courses at any time. When you purchase a SkillUp course, you have access to it at any time, and you do have access to that instructor as well, and they'll get back to you as soon as they can, or we're happy to connect you if you have a question for the instructor. I say that, but what's funny is I've actually never seen anyone come out of a SkillUp course with a question, because I think they're so well developed. So we appreciate our SkillUp instructors and encourage you to check that out if you'd like some additional virtual training. Okay, I think that's my slides. What other questions does anyone have in this group? Like Denise is in the chat actively. Thank you, Denise. All right. Well, we won't keep everybody any longer. I appreciate all of you for staying on with us and learning a little bit more about DUG. And we're excited to get your DUG meetup rocking and rolling. And everyone have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for attending.
Thank you, Molly.
Bye. See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Happy Friday.